Welcome to The Switch, podcasts that are wired to online and offline marketing.
Welcome to The Switch, the podcast that is wired to online and offline marketing. We have a great show lined up for you guys today. We have a special guest in Dino over there.
Great to be here.
Great for you to come along. You are an entrepreneur extraordinaire. You are a salesperson who just doesn't know how to stop selling, and it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, good to have you here, mate. Actually, Steve, he was only just telling me yesterday what kind of a legend he was. I think he mentioned the word guru once or twice.
Guru, the sales
So, yes, good to have you along, Guru.
That was my mother that said that.
As usual, we have Wayne, our branding expert.
Great to be here.
Here to educate us all on what to do and what not to do from a branding perspective. And you're going to scare a few people today, I'm sure.
Sure, yes.
But a lot has happened over the past couple of months. Our last show was in December. You'd think everyone would be sleeping over December, January period.
Craziness
Gone crazy.
Exciting times, yeah.
A new topic has sort of emerged over the past few months. Not many people have talked about it. We've talked about Meta
Yes.
for the last couple of episodes. Do you know much about Meta, Dean?
I don't know. I'm here to be educated, Steve.
You know that Facebook have rebranded to Meta, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're sort of trying to lead the way in terms of a Metaverse.
Yep.
But unfortunately,
No, it hasn't worked out.
They've
It hasn't worked to
missed
plan. Listen, I think Marky Boy sort of forgot where he was, and that the Metaverse has really essentially existed for some time before he decided to start talking about it. But he's had a few problems, hasn't he, in the last couple of weeks? He's lost a bit of money.
He has. He's lost a bit of money, and Facebook were actually they were contesting the privacy issues in Europe.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And they basically threatened to pull out of Germany and France.
Whoa.
And they said to the governments, look, if you don't, relax your laws, we're going to stop using, we're going to stop servicing Facebook to your population.
And all of a sudden, massive drops in stocks.
And you know what? Do you know why? Well, Germany and France said, that's fine.
Yeah.
Take it away. Our lives are a lot better without Facebook.
We don't need your
We don't
social
need you.
media.
It's like,
We don't need the drama.
and then they've come back and said, "Oh, we were just
Just
joking,
mucking around.
we were just concerned,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's a bit shameful. The things that these big corporates will do.
Some might even suggest that a rebrand at the time that they did might have hurt them as well. So, people can be skittish, and when a company like that changes and they start talking about things that are quite alien to them, it scares people.
That's right.
They switch off. So I think it was a combination of quite a few things. But
Plus the fact that Meta already exists.
yep.
People didn't see it as something new.
No. Online gaming communities are massive. We're talking millions and millions and millions of people like gaming on a weekly basis all over the world in a metaverse type environment. So yes, it's been around for some time. He's just tried to grab and coin the phrase and use it to his benefit. So and let's watch his space. A lot's still happening. And then we're going to start talking about the new incarnation of the web, which is Web 3.
I mean, big corporates
Massive.
are no longer. No,
and we're talking about Facebook. Those sorts of companies will not have the control that they're used to in the Web 2 space. It's a space that's built on blockchain and decentralization, and taking the power away from the big companies and giving it back to the everyday person. So it's quite different to what we're used to, and AI is going to figure heavily into that.
That's right. So just to give those people, we don't want to scare our audience off.
No, we don't want to do that.
Really,
I mean, Dean's here. I think that's one step too many already.
So Dean, we're here for you. If you got any questions about Web3, just throw them my way. But just to give our audience a little bit of a comfortable history lesson on web, Web 1.0, we all remember those. I mean, I did my computer degree when there was no web whatsoever. It's quite hard to believe. And everyone remembers when it all sort of came out. You know, you had your, was it 96-bit modem, just trying to connect through a phone line.
Still using floppy disks.
Still using 3.5 inch, 5 1/4 inch.
It's pretty hard to imagine that now. I mean, when it first came out, we were like, "Whoa, this is like, this is science fiction.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable." And then now where we are in Web 2, looking back at Web 1, we go, "Oh my God, I can't believe
we used to have to go to shops and buy 15 5 1/4 inch discs just to load one game."
Yeah,
and you'd be swapping the discs.
that's right. I remember doing that.
Those are the days. Those are awesome days.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. The anticipation
was.
of when a game would load.
Yeah.
Incredible. But when the web came out, it was all static, very HTML based, no interaction. But funnily enough, it did open the door for some file transfer sites, which were very, very interesting. So pirated movies, sites like Pirate Bay were cropped up. We all remember that.
Yeah, LimeWire.
Yeah.
LimeWire,
Yeah.
absolutely. Napster.
Yeah.
Napster was a big one.
Yeah,
So,
if I remember correctly, LimeWire just about used to stop everything running in the house. And
Absolutely.
And you'd get just smashed with bugs and viruses.
Yeah,
Which just
absolutely.
take forever.
Yeah.
Oh, what a nightmare.
And then it would impact businesses as well, because
Oh, yeah.
businesses didn't put firewalls through FTP, and then people just downloaded stuff as and when they wanted. So the whole company, when I was working,
I'd be interested to know, but I wonder if that really was the first space where hackers and people that created viruses really cut their teeth through those sorts of programs.
Yeah, well,
Because that's what I remember the most about it was the stuff that used to come with what you were downloading and how it affected your computer or things not working, and it was a nightmare. So, but we can look back at that fondly now and have a bit of a laugh about
Absolutely.
it.
Dino, do you remember that with fondness? Or?
Yeah, I think my memory of Pirate Bay was sometimes it was quick, sometimes it was slow, and then it had a knock-on effect.
Depends on what you were downloading, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, cartoons were.
Absolutely. Yes.
I had young kids at the time.
Should do the old what? I didn't download that. What are you talking about?
I still don't know what you're talking about.
But without that, Napster obviously was created by the two Seans,
Yes.
and now they're sort of leading Facebook and Spotify. So Sean Parker obviously was involved in both Facebook and Spotify. So yeah, I've seen the.
And Spotify's massive. Yeah, Spotify's massive too. I mean, just about everybody has an account.
Except at Neil Young's house.
Yeah. I saw a post the other day, and evidently he's quietly snuck back in there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
He
if that's
did
true.
a Facebook on his.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Oh.
I was like really upset with that because I was like, you guys always stood for freedom of speech and protesting and like, awesome artists, and then they're all just jumping on the bandwagon and doing all this. I'm going, that's a bit disappointing because the guy's obviously talking about stuff that no one else is talking about. And sure, some of the things that he talks about people aren't comfortable with, or there's varying points of view, but I just thought for those guys, especially Neil Young has always been a hero of mine.
Yeah.
I love Neil Young, and for him to do that, I was like, man,
Peace, love, and
put
understanding.
me on a real downer. I was like, God.
But it's just, it just seems like, just because one person's, I suppose, more outspoken than others, there's a whole heap of stuff that is misinformation.
And the power of social media and posting relevant information, and how many people jumped on that bandwagon, and all of them were being featured all over social media on their Instagram accounts, all that sort of stuff. So, I think quite a few people that were doing that were just in it for, for the publicity. But
publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we hit to Web 2.0, 2004. That was just before I moved to Australia. And to the present, really, where there was a whole heap of content creators. So there was interactivity on the web, mobile, is a lot of exploitative activity on the web, big tech, Apple, Amazon, Google, now more recently Netflix. Yeah, interestingly, Google's IPO happened in 2004. And then, Facebook was created in 2004. And I remember creating my first account when I arrived in 2005, and there's hardly anyone on Facebook.
No, MySpace was the place
MySpace, yeah.
before that. And then when Facebook came along, because all my kids were on MySpace, and we ended up taking the accounts of them because there's so much crap going on in there, you know,
Yeah.
kids bullying other kids and whatever. And then Facebook came along, and I just thought, none of these crazy, you know, just more shit we have to deal with, more drama. And then, it just went berserk very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And MySpace pretty much disappeared overnight. Was that what was intended? I don't know. Or was it just shut down, or just stopped being popular?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember. But now Facebook now it's turned into a giant. It's a massive beast.
It is a massive beast.
They also wield a bit of power, and they have a lot of control. Maybe not as much as, you know, Google.
Yeah.
But, you know, pretty close.
Pretty close. It's really the big three or big four, I would say.
Yeah.
Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft as well. You can
Absolutely
put in there, and Facebook. But Facebook, because of the privacy issues, does attract a lot of negative publicity for good reasons.
Yeah.
Very manipulative.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, I think there's a line between freedom of speech and hate speech.
Yeah.
And there does need to be a clear definition. And so when we talk Web3 and we're saying, well, this is decentralized, and then the power's coming back to the people, there's going to be a whole heap of privacy issues again, but in a different way. I'm very interested to see how that all pans out.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be people they're going to see that as more opportunity, bigger opportunity than what our current platform is. So I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I love the idea behind it, and you know, being a blockchain based type scenario where people can now start trading and doing business online securely without a middleman, and having their own, I suppose, fortune in their own hands, and do things differently. Trading online, buying product online is going to change completely. And then now we're talking about AI, and AI that's going to learn and understand your habits and then do things to attract you. So advertising and marketing, you know, you tell me, but I kind of love it, but I also feel a little uncomfortable about it too.
Dino, have you got an opinion just yet?
With AI, I think it's exciting, but then I see what Wayne was saying, it's kind of scary as they kind of just take over the world. Like I suppose an article I was reading around sales a few months ago was around AI being able to kind of read your face and say, oh, this guy is lying or whatever. I found, it's intrusive, I suppose.
That is that's exactly right. So there's probably I'm polarized, to be honest.
So am I.
The official word out there, Web 3.0 will bring a fairer internet by enabling the individual to be a sovereign.
Yes.
Sounds good.
True sovereignty implies owning and being able to control who profits from one's time and information. So really pushing away from the big corporates and that decentralized, everyone is accountable.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some rules.
I think so.
There's got to be some rules. And who's going to make those rules? If it's completely decentralized, who is going to make those rules? And there's going to be...
The majority will make the rules. We will be, I suppose, voting with our dollars, our money, where we're putting it, who we're dealing with, and what we're trading for, and all that sort of thing. But I still feel, Web 2, we've got Google Analytics, we've got people that now can, using that information, you buy from a site, and then you go here, there, and everywhere, and that site advert now follows you wherever you go.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking way more than that.
Yeah.
We're talking a lot more than that. So it's going to become very personal, and I'm sure there's going to be, I know people that just hate it now when an ad follows them around. Why is it doing this?
Yeah.
You have to explain to them, what's going on behind the scenes. Now, if that scares them, what are they going to think about the new AI stuff that is learning from your habits? And it won't even actually be in your face like that, but it will be directing. It will be directing behaviours and where you're going to go.
You find the same people who complain about this
Of course.
stuff. They put an Alexa in their front room. I mean,
I love it. I love it.
it's just so dumb.
Yeah, I agree. I'm polarised. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I think it's really exciting and really interesting, and it's great to see a community come together and go, you know what, let's create a new space and let's bugger off all the controlling factors, and we're talking big companies.
Banks.
And yeah, absolutely. And just we bring the power back to the people. This is awesome. I love that. You know, like that, you're talking my language. But there's always a but. Humans being human, human
there's a lot of
nature.
dumb people around.
Yeah, and human nature dictates that will be people that will find a way
Subversive.
to hurt other people.
Absolutely.
One way, shape or form. So the privacy thing, as you mentioned earlier, Steve, I think that's where I'm really interested to see how that pans out and what's going to be, how they're going to do that, control that.
How many people would love to get rid of the big banks and just pay for their houses through crypto and other forms of currency? I mean, some people can't even get bank accounts these days, so they should go through a 25,000 point check for identity. So,
absolutely.
It's in some ways that's good, but I can't help thinking that people I meet every day, they haven't even got Web 2 sorted out. And we're already going into Web 2. It's only people like us who actually need to know.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's people who just don't get social media. They don't get, like the ads following us around.
Yeah.
They just don't keep up with technology. They bury their heads in the sand. And suddenly, Web 3's here, and they're lost. They're dinosaurs. And then they're not even...
No.
Age-wise, they're not even that old. I know my dad. I asked him why he couldn't even figure out how to turn on a computer.
Yeah.
And he was saying, "Oh, technology just moves so fast." I said, "No, it's your choice to be ignorant of what is happening in technology, and it's not technology's fault. It's your fault for not putting in the effort to actually just trying to learn the simplest of things." Yeah,
But also, what we have to remember too is Web3 won't just take over and then boom, it's done, it's complete, it's a finished product. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be constantly changing and morphing, and even within the Web3 idea and what they're talking about the platform, there's going to be so many things that just aren't there yet. They're not ready, and they're going to develop over time like everything else. So
there's going to be some big slip-ups as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is what I'm talking about with privacy as well.
Yeah.
How that's going to affect the everyday person. They go, oh, great, I'm working in a space that I've got total control, and then all of a sudden they go, oh, I just lost everything. What happened?
Yeah.
You know, so it's exciting, but it's also a little scary. And I'm not scared of progress. Don't get me wrong. I love it, and I love technology.
And it's putting making individuals accountable.
Yeah, and having control over my own money and doing what I want to do, and not having to go through a middleman or be controlled by another company or corporate that says, yes, I can do that today and I can't do that tomorrow. I mean, that's what is going to attract most people.
Yeah.
But will also be a lot of people, like you just said, the people that don't understand what we're working in now and Web 2 are going to move into that environment and get all sorts of trouble. So there's probably going to have to be you can't enter until you can do this, and that.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary. Machine learning, AI. When I was just looking up accessibility just yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
And they've got this new plugin whereby it actually uses AI to read your website to configure a control panel which the user can determine what will be suitable for them. So if they have visual impairment, this AI will represent the page
unreal
as for someone who, so you don't have to design around accessibility anymore. You can design how you want.
Yeah.
And this plugin will use AI to represent it to disabled people. I thought that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, back in the day when I did my
huge advantages.
I did my dissertation by creating a neural network to understand the patterns of on the underside of newts. So I was sticking these newts on these photocopiers to get their pattern, because each pattern is unique, and being able to identify. So I built a machine that learnt all these patterns. But this sort of stuff is just incredible. Like 30 years on, 30 years on, It is really, really scary. And that behavioral advertising as well. We have some sort of behavioral advertising at the moment, but it's next level, isn't it?
Okay, so if people get annoyed by digital marketers now, just think what's going to happen soon. Oh no!
It's going to be incredible. But just to round this conversation off, it's going to be a very, very interesting place over the next 12 months as to where this goes. I mean, crypto has suddenly become mainstream over the past, I would say, 6 months.
And let's not forget Web3 and companies and how they're branded and how they brand themselves. Everything about what they're doing now may have to change to work more efficiently in that market space. And what they're saying and their voice and their tone within the whole brand concept at this present time, they may have to change quite completely. So, I think it's actually a really good time for companies to be looking at what they're doing, start learning about what this space will provide and how their business will perform in that space and what they need to do to be relevant in that space. Because it's not just a matter of just taking a business and throwing it in there and go, well, I've been doing incredible numbers through my website and my social mediums and whatever, and expect it to behave the same way. It'll be quite different. So I think, from a brand's perspective, from an online experience perspective, companies need to get across this sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
And start preparing for these changes and making sure that their business is still relevant and going to work the way they expect it to in this new space.
Quite ironically, though, it's the big techs. It's the big techs who are probably going to keep up with this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the small businesses who just time poor, who will not be able to keep up. And
then it's going to be people like you and me who will be sitting down with these people and saying,
trying to educate.
all right, we need to educate about what's happening here and how this is going to work and what you need to do to keep up.
Yeah.
It's no different to retail-based companies or trade-based companies, and then one company just goes, well, we're gonna do everything the right way, professional, and go, and then all of a sudden that company that's been, leading sales for so many years, all of a sudden see their market disappear, and sales drop.
Absolutely.
And because they've been left behind because they've allowed a company to pinch space because they just haven't stayed up to date with what's happening in the marketplace.
That's right. Traditional marketing.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Oh yeah.
And you got to keep up.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff, guys.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
great conversation.
Great conversation. To be continued.
Thank you, Dean, for your awesome
Cheers.
support.
I'm more educated anyway.